Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook, where we look for headlines. We look for headlines in our city's sources, our state, and our countries, just to find out what's happening out there that might be interesting to us as a community of English-speaking locals living here in Puerto Vallarta. We also take a look at your comments, ideas, and suggestions on how to best connect with our destination. And today is April 18, and we have a few bits of information that we want to share with you today. As always, we want to welcome everyone to the broadcast, and particularly those of you that are watching live with us for the first time. If that is your case, please feel free to let us know by writing the word new in your comment, and we'll be so very happy to give you a nice little welcome. If you are watching later on through YouTube, we appreciate the fact that you follow us. We appreciate your thumbs up. And of course, if you have any important issues that you want to bring up, like Claude has done here, adding a capital letter Q, that means Claude is wanting our attention. Anybody else feeling the weather changing daily? Oh, absolutely. Yesterday, I was out and about, and I was walking right around 1 or 2 o'clock. I was walking to a lunch date, and yes, you can definitely feel the weather changing. So I was commenting with some friends, it is time to start drinking iced coffee again, and it is time to walk everywhere with a little fan because, yes, the heat is coming back. So here we go. Let us get started. I have a couple of bits of news of interest, and there's something that I want to clarify later on. But first, let's take a look at a couple of news. This one is very unfortunate. This past Saturday, a Jaguar was run over and killed along the new highway from Jala to Puerto Vallarta, which unfortunately shed some light on the fact that the construction company responsible for the project did not apparently complete properly the passages that were part of the project that allow fauna to be able to cross a highway under it without any harm. It is worth remembering that the jaguar is a large cat species and the only living member of the genus Panthera, native to the Americas. The jaguar has been cataloged as an endangered species in Mexico since 1987. And once again, although it was specified in the construction plans for the new highway, apparently the company did not properly finish the required tunnels or passages that are used by wild animals to get from one side of the highway to the other. This, of course, is also an invitation to those of us that drive the highway to not speed and to keep our eyes open for wildlife and prevent this from happening again. Now, that was that. Now, let me tell you about this case. This took back This took place back in 2018, so I'm not familiar with the details, but apparently justice was just served. Back then, a woman by the name of Marcela Acosta, along with her son, plotted to disappear her boyfriend, a Canadian man by the name of Malcolm Robert Angus. According to security camera evidence, they were partying. She and her boyfriend were partying at Andalus when she slipped a little something into his cocktail. After the incident, apparently they drove towards Mezcales in Nayarit, during which time she was apparently in constant communication with her son and her brother. The man, unfortunately, was never heard from again. This unfortunate incident did not go to trial until this month, at which point a judge sentenced the three perpetrators to 56 years and 3 months in jail, along with a fine of 483,000 pesos. Let's unpack this for a second. Again, I'm not very familiar with this particular case, but I can certainly attest with my own personal experience that sometimes you meet people at bars and sometimes you think things are going to be great when you choose to bring them home. And sometimes they do slip things into your cocktails, and sometimes there are very bad outcomes. I had a bunch of equipment stolen from me in my first year while living here in Puerto Vallarta, because I made that mistake. I invited a person into my apartment that put something in my cocktail, and I am grateful to say that it didn't amount to much more than that, but it took many years for me to get rid of the shameful feelings around the incident. So, go out and have fun, go out and meet people, but just be careful with who you choose to allow into your lives. This, I think, is good here in Puerto Vallarta, but it is also good anywhere else in the world. Now, if you are looking forward to the 17th Festival Vallarta Azteca Folkloric Dance Festival, which will take place from April 30th to May 7, thanks to Banderas News, we learned that the performance schedule is now available. The festival will feature free performances by dance troupes from 8 Mexican states, along with groups from Chile, Costa Rica, Bulgaria, and Tonga in West Africa. Now, that sounds really exciting. So if you want to know when these performances are going to take place, just check out this article from Banderas News. And of course, Banderas News articles are written in English, so yay, language. And speaking of language, I want to clarify something that was inaccurate that I said yesterday, and I said it on Saturday, and it's not the first time that I say it, but a viewer reached out to me, and he felt it was important for me to clarify this, so I'm happy to do that. Mexico, as it turns out, and I've learned something new today, well, yesterday, Mexico does not have an official language. Spanish is not the official language in Mexico, and it was really funny because I always thought it was. So I went and checked some websites, and there are websites out there that say that Spanish is the official language, and then there were those that did not. So in doubt, I went and took a look at the Holy Grail, which is Mexico's Constitution. And indeed, the Constitution does not define Spanish as the official language of Mexico. However, the Constitution does vow to uphold and respect Spanish, which is one of the national languages in Mexico, the one that happens to be spoken by some 94% of people living in the country. So just a small clarification, we don't have an official language, but we do have more than one national language, which is Spanish, along with all the indigenous languages that we have discussed in the past. Interestingly, I realized that the fact that Mexico's Constitution does not define Spanish as the official language has prevented historians and other people involved in language in Mexico to be able to properly rescue all the ethnic languages that are still spoken in Mexico. But again, I am not a legal expert. I am not a language expert, but I did want to make that clarification at the request of one of our viewers. Moving right along, let's take a look at the weather. Yes, which is what is next. According to Snarky Weather, today is perfect day to start your own country. I'm going to pass on that. I'll settle with keeping my house clean, if you don't mind. Today, we are enjoying 26 degrees Celsius, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is increasing. It is now at 56. And of course, our weather forecast for the day says mostly cloudy skies through the day with a high of 30 and a low of 18. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we can expect a humid day with mostly clear skies with a high of 29 and a low of 18. And Thursday, a mostly cloudy day with mostly clear skies in the afternoon, a high of 29 and a low of 18. Moving right along, I have a couple other interesting nuggets to share with you. If you are planning a trip to Mexico City anytime soon, you may want to schedule a visit to a restaurant called Rosetta. And there, at Rosetta, you will enjoy the culinary creations of the restaurant's owner, Chef Elena Reigadas, who was just named the best female chef in the world by the world's 50 best restaurants. That's the name of the organization. The 45-year-old chef's restaurant is located in Colonia Roma Norte at a restored villa that has a plant-filled courtyard. And while we're at it, I want your opinion on something, because I was looking at this news item and I must say that I have a problem with the word female. And I was thinking as I was working on this note and I was translating to English, do you call a person, a woman chef, a lady chef, a female chef, a female chef, a woman chef? I don't know what the proper term is. I personally have problems with calling people a female something because, I mean, you call a female elephant a female elephant. You don't call a female elephant a lady elephant. So I figured a woman chef is more appropriate. I don't know the grammar, and I don't know that you know the grammar. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I'm just curious. What would be your choice of word in this headline? Mexican woman chef, Mexican female chef, Mexican lady chef, maybe even chef S. I don't know. But do let me know what your thoughts are on that one. I will very much appreciate it. I also wanted to let you know that it happened again at Chichen Itza. A tourist decided once again to pay no mind to the do not access signs and proceeded to climb the pyramid without consent. Needless to say, onlookers were outraged, and more so this time around as the perpetrator was from the city of Mérida, and according to many, he should have known better. And what seems to make things worse is that the fine, says public opinion, is not considerable enough to discourage others to break the law. You see, you can as well climb your favorite restricted pyramid, be subject to ridicule and possible harm for only 5,000 pesos, or roughly 275 US dollars. Not a fun thing to do. And last but not least, of course, my final reminder, tomorrow is our spring meet and greet at Whiskey Kitchen at 6 o'clock local time, 6 to 8. This will be an opportunity to meet the faces behind the comments. If you're going to be in town, if you're going to be around, it would be a pleasure to get to know you in person. And now let's take a look at your thoughts and your comments. As always, we'll be looking for cues, and we are enjoying all these wonderful good mornings. I see a hello from our dear friend Eric from the Joint Co-working Hotel. Eric has been spending a lot of time in Colima at a small town by the ocean called Cuyatlan, where apparently there's a huge production of sea salt, and I happened to check out some photographs that he posted the other day on Facebook of the place where the sea salt is actually manufactured. I thought they were rather fascinating. If you want to see them, just write the word salt in your comment, and I'll be happy to look for those photographs and share them with you tomorrow or sometime during the week. Let's see what else we have here. The weather changing daily, we already talked about. Many good mornings, which are much appreciated. Let's see. Alan is counting days. 189. Excellent. And let's see what else we have. Oh, a new. Oh, Farid, you're not new, but it is Farid. Farid and Nazi are dear friends that I met last year. Oh, it's your first time watching live. I didn't realize that. Well, this is a good thing because today is Farid's birthday. I would love to be able to attend his birthday celebration, but I can't. But everybody say hello to Farid and everybody say happy birthday if you can. Let's see. Oh, thank you for that, Claude. Again, for years, I didn't want to talk about this. It was very embarrassing. I had only been in Puerto Vallarta for a few months, so I guess it was a rite of passage. And in a way, I'm grateful that it happened to me because now I'm extremely cautious about who I allow into my home. Oh, John, if it was that simple. It's an interesting topic, this issue of language. I'm not well versed on, and I want to have a better conversation about this with Claude, who's from Canada. But I understand from comments that Claude has made in the past that Canada has its own struggles with different original languages being protected or not. Mexico has a lot of indigenous people living here, and we've looked at the breakdown of indigenous languages in Mexico, and it is an issue. It is a challenge to keep it alive and to respect the people that still speak these languages. Alan is asking, is that the first time you've shown us your broadcast setup? Actually, no, Alan. I decided to do this just a few days ago. Yoo-hoo! Just to give you some sense as to what it takes to put everything together. If this is the first time that you've seen it, there's a monitor where the news appear on my screen so that I can see what I'm talking about. Here's my main monitor. Here's my switcher. And watch me push the button that brings us back to our chit chat screen. Bam. There you go. Let's take a quick look. Chef is male and female. I thank you for that, Sherry, but maybe it sounds weird for me because English is not my first language. But to call a female chef, I just wish it didn't sound bad in my ears, and that's just me. And this is an interesting point because Brian says gender doesn't matter. Well, if gender doesn't matter, and this is of course not for you or for me to say, why is it necessary that an organization would award the best female something or the best male something, And come to think of it, when we look at the Academy Awards and stuff like that, there's always that distinction. Pat says a woman chef, and that seems to be my personal choice. To me, calling a woman does not sound offensive, whereas calling a woman a female sounds offensive. But maybe it's all in my head. All we're trying to do here is be respectful. The real question, that's deep. The real question is, unless we are seeking a relationship, then why does gender matter? Well, that's a big philosophical question. It's not even 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not going to tackle that. Here's another cue. There was a shooting a couple of weeks ago near Hidalgo Park where apparently 2 people died. What were the circumstances? Was it narco related? Did the police kill them? There there's been very little in the news about it. Clay, thank you very much for bringing that up to our attention. I remember there was a shooting at Hidalgo Park, and what was reported is that 2 people were injured, and you are correct. There has not been any other news about it. I actually don't know what the outcome of the situation was. Unfortunately, this incident happened right in the middle of Semana Santa, and for better or worse, either news outlets or even the local government is very good at throwing all that dust under the rug so that people won't see it, if you know what I mean. But that's what I know. That's what I saw reported. If anybody else saw other headlines, if you want to send me the URLs, I will be happy to share them with other people. Again, I get that. Just plain chef should be sufficient. Why the distinction between male and female? Well, because the award was given to her as the best woman chef, and that's the only reason why I thought about that. Do I have any leads for a realtor trustworthy? I do not, but if somebody wants to recommend someone, please be my guest. Let's see what else. Let's see. Oh, I see interest in the salt photographs. Thank you very much for that. I'll be happy to look for those in Eric's post and share them with you, of course, with Eric's permission. Let's see. I thought salt was mined, not manufactured. Well, I don't know. I'm not a salt expert. All I know is that sea salt comes from dehydration. And I don't know exactly what the procedure goes behind doing it. But I will tell you this. Eric was kind enough to bring me a bag of the sea salt that is made in Cuyatlan. And it was flavorful. Like, it tasted different than any other types of sea salt that I had tried before. So what makes it special? Maybe it is a matter of looking into this, and maybe it's a matter of planning a weekend with Eric in Cuyatlan and taking some photographs. Let's see what else we have. Jewel is a new friend that I met over this weekend, Julianne, who is moving today. Julianne, welcome to the broadcast. It's great to see your face here, and I look forward to getting to know you better. Another non-Mexican person that decided to go live in the mountains and is finding her way immersed in Mexican culture. Good for you. A woman chef has spoken up. Gender matters, boys. Come up through a kitchen, you will see. Interesting. Now that's a conversation to be had, Gina. And I do remember, curiously enough, that our friend Noy, who was a chef at Daiquiri Dick's for many years, used to comment on her experience as a woman chef in a male-dominated kitchen. So maybe there is something to be discussed or to learn more about. Eric is letting us share the salt photos. I'll be happy to look for those. And of course, here's a comment from Eric, who is right there. The salt is produced through evaporation of salt water using shallow pans on the ground with full sun exposure. I would love to see that in person, and maybe I will someday. And Barbara is remembering when the man was drugged and disappeared. It was sad. Any incident like that is sad, but I'm so happy to see that at least this one came to a closure. And speaking of closure, I think we've reached the end of our broadcast. Oh, 2 more cues. As my experience as a nurse really dislike hearing, oh, I have a male nurse today. Fair enough. And another one, is today the day for the sirens to go around to sound at 11? No, that will be tomorrow. And we'll even try to extend our broadcast until past 11 to see if we can hear anything from Coffee and Headlines headquarters. And this, friends, brings us to the end of today's broadcast. Thank you so much for your cues. Thank you so much for your ideas, your contributions, your questions, your suggestions. It's been an intense, thought-provoking week. I've received a lot of correspondence this week about this whole subject matter, about language, and I want to, once again, remind you that we don't go out sharing information with the intent to harm or offend anyone, although sometimes snarky gets the better of me. All we want to do is provide accurate information about what it's like to live here as an English-speaking local living in a country where the vast majority of the population speaks Spanish. Thank you very much for joining me once again, and I'll see you again soon.